hello. This is your show host, Maxine Pearl Phillips. I tell you what, I am so glad to be on here tonight. It's been over probably 6 months since I've been on live. I just want to make sure that it is actually on the Levelist Code page. So if you're watching, let me know where you're watching from and say, yes, it's on Levelist Code. We want to make sure that we have gotten everything lined up. I don't want anyone missing anything because this is great information tonight that I am sharing. Let me just see. I'm not seeing it on Levelist Code yet. So let me make sure that we are live on Levelist Code. We might be live on YouTube, but we want to make sure that we're on Facebook as well. I have many individuals who wish to come on to Facebook. So let me just check with my producer right quick. All right. So let me know where you're coming from. Put it in the chat and let me know who you are, where you're coming from, where you dialing in from. Just checking to make sure. Okay. Checking. Well, listen, we don't want to delay the hour. We want to make sure that you get this great information that I'm going to be talking about this evening because this is going to be it's really been a life-changing event for me. And the information I'm sharing tonight is about my personal journey and that the near death experience that I just encountered in March. And okay, everybody says it's running live on Facebook. Um, Comment, let me know that you're here, that you're on. Antonio said, okay, Antonia's watching. Hi, Antonio. Mwah! Glad you're watching. All right, so we're good to go. All right, so as I was stating, I've not been live in probably about 6 months. Yes, there's several deaths we had in the family, but the closest, listen, I almost had one of those myself, encountering me. But it started in March. And Levelist Co. is about success without levels. Everything we do here is about empowering you to become better, to move forward in your journey, in your assignment, in your ministry, in your calling, in your purpose, and everything that you're passionate about. So when I encountered this near death experience in March, I can't help but to share it with you because the whole objective is to save another life. The Holy Spirit saved my life, and I've been instructed to share this information with you. Now, I've been doing podcasts for over 5 years. This podcast here hit home very close. The podcast that I'm talking about tonight, again, is the near death experience that I encountered in March of 2024. Now, let me give you a little background about Maxine. I've been dealing with this situation for over 10 years, or even maybe even longer than that, because really it all started back in 2009 when I was flying internationally for my business. And I would come home and I would be so exhausted. And not only that, I would be so sick. And I couldn't figure out why I was so sick. I would go to the doctor and they would tell me, you have vertigo, because the room would be spinning. It's jet lag. You're tired. It's travel stress. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2009 is when it all began. And in 2010, I lost my husband. After his death, I really started experiencing the sickness. I thought it was due to grief. But let me give you some of the symptoms that I encountered. And I want you to write them down because this is so essential and it's so critical that you be aware of some of these symptoms. And I'm going to tell you what the additives is because I'm going to be talking about preservatives. I'm going to be sharing with you food additives that has played havoc on my life and my health and even my career. And why do I say career before I get started and everything? Because I'm a life and career coach. That's what I do. I help individuals and I empower professionals who's transitioning to new careers how to move forward in their career. Oh, Sharon, thank you for watching. Oh, look at this, Miss Kim Calhoun. Oh, thank you so much, Kim. Kim is one of the presidents of Pod TV, which is where I'm airing from tonight. A Pod TV. So be sure to chime in. They have plenty of individuals who come on and share such great information. And it's all, a majority of it is all live. But as I was saying, the near death experience. And when we go through something of this magnitude, it is important that we share it with not only our family, but our friends, our co-workers, the ones that we our associates, and even with the world. But the additives, I'm going to call them food preservatives. I'm going to call it chemicals because all of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight is how my body has responded. I'm not a doctor and I do not profess to be a doctor or even in the medical field. But what I do know, I know my body. What I do know, I know that when my body comes in contact with these particular chemicals and food preservatives, the impact that it has on my health, the impact that it has on my health. As a career coach, I empower individuals to continue to move forward in their career. But my near death experience caused me not to be able to even do my job, not to be able to do what I'm passionate about, not to be able to communicate even with my grandchildren or attend events. So, see, career. Hi, Marjorie, thank you for watching. Is a lifetime, but life is a project because there's a beginning date and there is an end date. And everything in between your born date and your death date, those are projects because they too have a beginning date and an end date. But I thought my date of life was coming to an end in March of 2024. As I said, I've been battling with this for over 10 years, but I first came in contact with it in 2009 when I didn't know why I was so sick. But I will tell you some of the symptoms that I experienced before I talk about the actual preservatives. Room spinning, diarrhea, vomiting, sweating profusely, blood pressure going up in stroke zone, 200, over 110, not able to even walk. And in March, I could not even talk. I was breathing heavily, heart palpitations. I felt as though my heart was getting ready to explode within my chest. I could not sleep at night because I could not breathe. And when you cannot breathe, you have this sense of, am I going to wake up when I go to sleep? So that's what I encountered. As I share this information with you, I want you to think about it and I want you to recall, have you gone through any of these symptoms and not know what caused it? See, back in 2009, when I first encountered this, and my husband died in 2010, I started going to the doctor trying to find out, why is the room spinning? Why can't I stand up? Why can't I keep food on my stomach? And again, they kept telling me it was travel stress, or it's because of the death of your husband that you're going through stress. But my spirit told me differently. So in 2011, I started journaling my food intake. I started writing down everything that I started ingesting in my body, trying to come up with what's causing me to be so sick. I would go to the doctor, I would go to the emergency room, but they couldn't find anything. They couldn't tell me anything. And when I kept telling them that every time I ate something, it would make me sick. But, ladies and gentlemen, it was in 2014, after keeping this journal for several years, that I understood for the first time what was making me sick. For the first time, it was the food preservatives. And initially, I didn't know which ones. But what I will tell you is, because I kept the food journal, I started seeing a pattern. When I would eat certain foods that had certain chemicals or certain preservatives or certain additives in it. And in keeping this journal, I started realizing more and more and more how my body would react. Sometimes it would take it 2 to 3 days before I would have a reaction. But by the time 2016 came, it only took within 15 to 20 minutes for my body to start reacting when I had ingested something that it did not like and it would not tolerate. You never know when you're going to have an allergic reaction and you don't know what's going to cause it. But before I go further, I want to make sure that please start journaling any reactions that you have, whether it's food, whether it's hair products, whether it's lotions, whether it's juices, it does not matter. Keep a journal of it, because it's going to be so critical that you identify what your body does not like. And I'm going to make this statement. As I indicated earlier, I'm not a doctor, do not profess to be. But I want you to understand that you must know your body better than your doctor, because your doctor relies on you to share with them the things that you are encountering so that they can help pinpoint what they see as the root cause. But many times you already know the root cause, like I had to identify for myself. I promise you, I would not be sitting here today sharing this information with you had I not kept that journal, had I not followed my spirit, my inner person who said, journal it. I've been journaling ever since I was 11 years old, right in my career, my goals. But this time, journaling's actually saved my life. What are the preservatives? What are some of the things that you need to watch out for and look for? The biggest culprit for me was MSG, is the acronym. monosodium glutamate. Now, let's face it, you're not going to see that word in the foods that you eat. But I will tell you that through my research and the years that I've experienced this, and I have a white paper that I wrote back in 2016, but I never did publish it. But after I encountered this near death experience, my spirit said it's time to share your information with others. You could be saving lives. That MSG is what I'm going to call it. There are 52 names for it. If it's pure MSG, it would be listed in the ingredients on the labels. If it's not pure MSG, it is not going to be listed as MSG. But it will be listed as other names. I've learned to identify what some of those names are. I'm just going to share a few of them with you this evening. And if you have any questions, I want to make sure that you put them in the box, the chat box, so that I can answer your questions. There's so much that I have been researching over these 10 years that I could share, but I can't get it in 1 hour. So for that reason, I will be doing a couple episodes on this because it's so essential that this information get out. Have you heard of natural flavorings? When you look at your ingredients, you don't know what those natural flavorings are. Remember, they don't have to tell you if MSG is a part of it because it's not pure. What about spices? Unless the spices are actually listed organic, oregano, organic basil, organic turmeric, you don't know what the spices are. You see, I had to learn all of this. I had to memorize all of this because before I could ingest any of the foods, I had to look at the ingredients. So, a point I like to make with that is always read the ingredients on the labels. Another name for MSG could be fortified. And we also can call it ultra pasteurized wheat. We have we call it milk products or milk powder that's in some of the ingredients. You have citric acid. Now there's a difference between citric acid and ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is your vitamin C. A citric acid is man-made. Then you have the dry milk solids. So there's so many of these things. And a lot of you use bouillon cubes in order to make soups. Or you might use the cream of what is it? Cream of cheddar. You might use the cheddar in the cans, cream of mushrooms. Read the ingredients. I'm not trying to turn you away from what you use, but I want you to be aware of what you're using and the impact that it can very well have on your health, and it affecting your health, but then affect your life and your career. So what happened to me in March? I had steered away from a lot of preservatives and additives over these 10 years watching. But every now and then, like anyone else, you want to test yourself and see, can I have it now? I've not been able to have it in the past, but can I try it now? And that's what I decided to do. I had my grandchildren, my grandsons with me. So, being a grandmother, I want to cook. I made them nachos. And I absolutely love nachos. But see, it was a cheese. It wasn't the chips, but it was a cheese mixture that I prepared, not someone else, but me. I knew I should not have had any, but I hadn't had it in almost 10 years. I thought, oh, what the heck? Let me try a helping of it. Well, on March the 14th is when I tried that helping. Remember, I said it can take anywhere from up to 72 hours for your body to react. My body reacted after those 72 hours. My feet, my toes started swelling. Then the top part of my foot started swelling. My ankles started swelling. The swelling started going up my legs to the middle part of my legs. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. I was huffing and I was puffing and I was fighting to breathe. You know that wheezing sound that you get when an individual sometimes have asthma? I've never had asthma in my life, but that's how I sound. I still kept going on and on and on, trying to go to all the different activities and events, but I was barely making it. That one helping of nachos nearly took my life because of the preservatives that was a part of it. Yes, I went to the doctor because my heart felt as though it was ready to explode. I was throwing up everything. The room was spinning. All of those symptoms that I told you about earlier rushed back on that March 16th and 17th. I thought, oh, I can get it under control. All I have to do is this, and this. But you see, I couldn't. It was too far gone. It was taking over my whole body. My heart reacted to the point that it was ready to shut down. By the time I got to the doctor, they told me that my pulse rate was like 124 beats per minute. You're supposed to be on an average, what, 60 to 65? Mine had doubled. They gave me medication and sent me home. When I was lying in that bed, I did not know if it was going to be my last breath that I took each second. I sat there and I prayed. I'm a believer. I know there's a higher power other than myself. And I prayed to that higher power. What must I do to save my life? Because I felt like at that point, if I go back to the doctor, what are they going to tell me? Stress, give me more medication, and send me home. But it dropped into my spirit. And I had a conversation with my daughter in law. And we talked about changing cardiologists. And the recommendations she made, I did not know anyone. But God works in mysterious ways. He had one of my friends that I worked at Sony Ericsson to call me. Rhonda Pierce called me. Rhonda, thank you for following the spirit because you were told to call and check on me, and you did. And her calling me, she was able to suggest a cardiologist, and I was able to get an appointment. Well, this cardiologist takes anywhere from 6 months to a year to get in to see her. But I know that there is a God. Where there's a will, there's a way. And he told me he would never leave me nor forsake me. And I was able to get an appointment with this cardiologist within 3 weeks. So I give all praises to God for that. But in the meantime, I had put out on Facebook what I was going through, just that I was sick. And you all started praying for me. You started calling me, even though I couldn't answer, but you started texting me, letting me know that you were praying for me. And I thank you for that because that gave me strength, an additional strength to keep moving forward. But as I get back to this life-threatening near-death experience, again, I cannot stress enough for you to record and pay attention not only to what you eat, but the symptoms that you are experiencing. The symptoms that you are experiencing. Now, in the coming weeks, I'm going to have subject matter experts on to talk about this. I want guests to talk about this. So if you've experienced any of these symptoms or any of these allergic reactions or the intolerance to food, chemicals, or preservatives or additives, then reach out to me because I want to bring you on so that you can share with the world what you have experienced as well. I know I'm not the only one out here that has experienced this. And this is the reason why I must come on and share this information. If any of you that's watching right now and have experienced something similar to this, put in the chat box and let me know. Because there's nothing like being able to share with what you've gone through. When I first started experiencing this, I was sick for one day. Then I would be sick for 2 days. Then I would be sick for 1 week. And at one point in time, I was sick for an entire month. Now, this episode that I just encountered in March, here it is August. And it wasn't until the middle of July that I started feeling better and having strength to get up and to even be here on this Facebook Live and in person to share this information with you. So as you can see that when your health is not cooperating with you, it's difficult for you to move forward in your life. It's very difficult for you to even do your work or your job or your career. And that's why I say career is a lifetime, but life is a project. And we must manage each project individually. And because they're all sub projects between our life, our birth date, and the day we leave this earth. I want to pause for a minute to see if you have any questions. I have tons of information to share, but I wanted to share with you this near-death experience because the whole objective my purpose in life is to save lives. My purpose in life is to help individuals move forward in their life. My purpose in life is to help you live a fulfilled life. And if I've encountered something that was detrimental or almost caused me to die, why not share it with the next person? Why not share it with the next person? So let's see if we have any questions. I'm looking to see if we have any questions. I'm on Facebook, so those who are on YouTube, I'll be able to answer your questions at a later time or right after the Facebook ends. Okay, I see Marjorie. Thank you for checking in. And Antonio, I see Antonio. That's my little mentee right there. So, some of the preservatives that I talked about, as I said, MSG, has anyone encountered irregular heartbeats? AFib is what they call it. You know, when I was coming up, they would tell me I had a heart murmur, but I didn't know what a heart murmur was. And come to find out later in life, it really is an irregular heartbeat. And that irregular heartbeat, when my blood pressure goes up, the irregular heartbeats get worse. Because how can a heart keep up with blood pressure that's trying to go through it at a 200 over 100 or 110? It's trying to keep up with the beat and it's almost impossible. So that's the reason why it goes into those 124 beats per minute. How many of you get headaches and you don't know where the headache is coming from? Or the headache came 2 days later, opposed to the time in which you ate the food? How many of you know that preservatives are in medicines? So even when I go to the doctor, I'm constantly telling them what I'm allergic to. How many of you are watching out for the sulfites and sulfates and the nitrites and the nitrates that are in foods or in lotions or in hair products or even in clothing? Many times, or even perfumes. I am to the point in life that when I enter into a home and someone has those plug-ins, my heart reacts immediately. And I have to get to fresh air. Oh, I see someone is giving me a book to read. April talks about topics, Jen's clear list. Oh, okay. Yes, the cleaning products. Use organic cleaning products. And that's what I do. Even with the soap detergents that I use for my clothing, they have to be fragrance free. So this is how we can help. I can help you help yourself in order to get better or to know what you're coming in contact with. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Yes, thank you, Sharon and Kim and Nicholas. Yes, it's so good to have individuals on here listening to this because the whole objective is to share. Share this information with others. Do not keep it to yourself. We need to be able to save lives out here. Again, I'm not the only one who's gone through this. So I love to hear what you have encountered. I would love for you to come on and be a guest so that you can share other additional information that perhaps I'm not even aware of. Each one teach one. Each one teach one. You know, I talked about how it affects your career and how it affects your life. You know, I had a family reunion that took place that I couldn't even attend. I could not travel. I wouldn't dare get on an airplane at this point in time. I cannot even go out of the country because I have to be able to understand what's in the foods that I'm going to be eating. It's hard for me to even go to an event that's serving food. I'll pay for it, but I'm not able to eat. I must carry my own food wherever I go. The other thing I want you to become aware of is water. I know we drink a lot of bottled water. I'm guilty of it as well. But I'm to the point now that I have to specifically zero in on a certain type of water. Because if you read the labels and look at the ingredients, you'll find that there are some ingredients even in water. And my body reacts to that as well. So many times I'll carry water out of my own refrigerator, out of the filtered water. wherever I go. So that's why it restricts me from doing a lot of traveling. And is it embarrassing at times when I have to pull out my own glass of water? Well, at first it was, but not anymore because I know what I'm doing is saving my life. And so we have to be respectful of other people when they have to make adjustments. And I used to bring my own lunch when we go to a restaurant. It didn't mean I didn't want a fellowship at a restaurant, but they were ordering, but I could not order. And so I would bring my own food. And the restaurants understood that when I explained to them what was going on. So, see, we have to make adjustments and modifications in order for us to survive. I'm thankful that I'm here to be able to share this information with you tonight because in March, I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe. It's not as difficult now to talk about it or to be willing to share this information because I've held it in for over 10 years, thinking no one wanted to hear it. But after this near death experience, God told me, yes, it's time to share. It's time to share it so that I can help others live. And as a life and career coach, if I am empowering you to move forward in life, in your career, then I must be obedient and share this information because career is a lifetime and life is a project. So, what questions do I have out here? As you can see, I can get very emotional about this. I can get very emotional about this. Is anyone out here that have experienced this? Any allergies or any intolerance to food, to perfumes, to soaps, to detergents, to even deodorants? I have to use a fragrance free deodorant. We have to make sure that we help our children to understand and pay attention to them and the allergies that they are allergic to. I mean, sorry, the foods that they are allergic to, the allergies that they come in contact with. This is serious. It's not going to go away. The preservatives are in food and they will be there. But what you must do is read the labels. What you must do is know the symptoms. What you must do is be able to journal so that when you go to the doctor, you can share this information with them. But like I said, know your body better than your doctor. Does not mean you're not going to the doctor. I'm not anti doctor, but what I am is I know Maxine and I know my body. So when they tell me that it's stress induced, I know differently because I have kept the documentation and I have kept the journaling and I can show them the symptoms that I've had whenever I ingest certain foods. Talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking.
Maxine, I don't know if you saw the questions in chat and everything, but one of the things that I know a lot of people would be interested in advice and everything is what advice would you give to people who have been recently diagnosed with cancer or other life threatening diagnoses? I just had a friend recently that rang the bell as a cancer survivor, but now they're on that long road to recovery and everything. So I'm just wondering what advice you would give to folks that have faced these different things in terms of their diagnosis. And the other question that I know some people have asked, even to me and others, is what soaps do you recommend for those with sensitive skins? And should you also check with people and their allergies when planning family events and long time public events. So that was something that I think people might be interested in knowing about as well.
Mark, you definitely have hit several of those questions on the head. As far as when it comes to planning events, many times when especially a family event, when you can really control what you're going to be serving, canvas your family members to find out, are they allergic to anything. I know when I do put in for the events that I'm allergic to preservatives, they don't always honor that. And I already know that because they have a menu that they've already established, and the menu is for maybe 50 to 100 people, and they already going to use certain ingredients. And so for that reason, I know to take my own food. But if you're doing a family event, then you know, majority of the time, you know your family members, and you can ask, are they allergic to anything? Especially if it comes to preservatives, what type of preservatives? Because there's so many types of preservatives. In my medical file, it states nitrates, nitrites, sulfates, sulfites, MSG, Versed, and Versetta is a type of sedation that they use when they want to do surgery. So I've even gotten it to the point that you must tell them what you're allergic to when it comes to that. When it comes to soaps,
Mhm.
I would say fragrance free, and also read the label even in the soaps to find out what ingredients are they using in the soaps, because they sometimes they use a blue dye, sometimes they use red dye. What kind of dyes are they using? Because sometimes those dyes have different preservatives in them. So you have to be aware of that. Come to the detergents. Again, fragrance free is always better. And many times they'll say organic.
Mhm.
And organic is not 100%. Okay. Let's face it, it's never 100% because it could be cross contaminated or something. But it's probably as close as to pure as you're going to get when it does say organic, because they have to follow certain guidelines in order for it to be labeled as organic. But in my research, I found out that there's nothing 100%. Let's see, you asked about the soaps, the sensitive, the allergies, and what else? There was a third question you asked about.
That was pretty much it. You definitely covered a lot. The those that are recovering and all along those lines. Because I know
Cancer.
sometimes. Oh, the other question I was going to ask you, because I know that one of the things I admire about you is that you have a very positive mindset. So if you can talk about the mindset, because I remember a acquaintance and a family friend that unfortunately passed away, and she had a terminal illness, but she lived a lot longer than she was probably expected to live. Because I think they only gave her a few months, but she was always a person that had a joy of life and everything. So I think she probably lived longer than the doctors were expecting her, because she had that joy of life and was determined to beat the odds of what the doctors gave her. So even though she did eventually pass away, she probably lived longer than she was expected. And in my mind, part of that was her attitude, because she had a very positive nature and a positive attitude. So I just wondered if you could speak to that, because I do know some friends of mine, even some family members, that are facing different ailments and different life threatening parts of their life and diseases, but those that seem to be more successful are those that seem to have a positive attitude and are able to, I won't say beat the disease because it's hard to beat a disease, but they're able to put it in further check and in some cases remission and all along those lines. So I just wondered if you could speak maybe to the importance of mindset in being a healthy individual.
Mindset is so critical. I mean, it is so essential to life, because when you have that positive mindset, you're thinking positive thoughts. You're thinking, you're optimistic and not pessimistic. You're thinking that not, you know, in reality, that the doctors may have said this, but if you're a believer, it's not until God says it's time for you to come home. So when you have that positive mindset, and if you have that belief, your faith can continue to carry you forward. I mean, yes, I've had to have a positive mindset ever since I found out that I've been allergic to having all these intolerance and allergic to all these preservatives. Because if I had not had a positive mindset, I would not have been willing to do the things that I'm doing. The other
Mhm.
thing about a positive mindset, know that you don't have to do it by yourself.
Right.
You don't have to go at it alone. Even when you're battling with cancer, don't go by yourself. Allow other people to come along and be that support for you. I remember when my husband was sick, he did not want anyone to come around.
Right.
I had to have that on me for 7 years. That's a lot of stress in itself, but the whole thing of this, I was his caretaker. So if you have individuals out there who are caretakers, call them, check on them, ask them what can you do to help them. It could be that you just take that loved one to the doctor on their behalf. It could be that you come and sit with that loved one. So that positive mindset, when individuals have that positive mindset for themselves, it helps them to improve life. It helps them to have a positive outlook on one, that will to live. And that will to live keep you longer and longer and longer. Yes, the body is going to do what the body does, and even my heart is going to do what it does. But as long as I'm here, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to show positivity into others. I'm an encourager. I want to make sure that everyone, I like to encourage individuals to help them to move forward. And by encouraging them, it encourages me. And so, by me helping others move forward in their career and their life and become successful, fulfilled, and happy, it makes me happy.
Yep. And Antonio had a comment as well. He said, "Amen on that," and nothing is going to stop me or us or you, and that we're so thankful and happy and excited that you're still here with us every day. We need you every day. So Antonio had that message, one of your mentees, and all along those lines. Now, just really quickly, because I know my mom has been going through some things with her allergies and everything. Maybe you can speak to that, because I know sometimes whether it's allergies or eczema, sometimes we don't even know what is causing it, because I think the doctors have given mom some medication that seems to be putting things in control, but there are things that they can't even discover as to what is causing the change in skin and the eczema. Because what some people forget, and I know you're aware of this as well, is that sometimes those things, even though they're thought of as childhood ailments, sometimes they don't develop till later in your life. Because I know some people that have gotten eczema and acne well into their life, not as teenagers, but as adults in their 60s and 70s. And I think sometimes it even impacts, I'm not sure about this because I am not a doctor, but I've heard that even some forms of it impact women more than men and everything. And I was just wondering your take on that, and how sometimes it can be later in life that folks are diagnosed with things that are thought of as childhood ailments.
And Mark, that is so true, because many times, like my heart murmur, I think I had as a child, and I didn't even know it until my mother told me that I had rheumatic fever when I was
Mhm.
5 at the heart. But she said the doctors told her that it could come back in life, but we just didn't know how and where and when. And so, me being intolerant to preservatives and everything triggers my heart, because I have this underlying irregular heartbeat that I did not was not aware of initially. Until later in life, when I started questioning my mother, they told me I have this heart murmur. So, and she said, yeah, that's when she revealed that I had been sick as a young girl. But when it comes to allergies and things like that, things can be dormant in your body, and they can surface when you are going through. It could be stress that's causing it. It could be something that you've eaten that's caused it. I happen to know it's food that causes mine.
Yeah.
But when it comes to allergies, I'm going to go back to journaling. It's
Hmm.
so essential that you journal. You don't have to have a big journal book. You go buy a journal, put it on a piece of paper, write it on paper, and keep a running list of what some of the things that you're encountering and when you encounter them, and what were you doing. What caused it to happen? Or if you don't know, how often is it happening? When is it happening? Is it happening at a certain time of the year? Is it only in the spring? Is it in the fall? As a little girl, I mean, coming up as a teenager, really, this is when it really happened the most. As a teenager, I would get a fever blister. I would get a fever blister in the spring, and I would get one in the fall. And the fever blisters would be so bad, and they would get so big, and it would just spread all over my lip that I couldn't even go to school. But it only happened once in the spring and once in the fall. So as an adult, I watch out for that. I make sure that my colon is clean, and my stomach is clean and all of that. So I don't have any bacteria setting in my body that could trigger these fever blisters. So that's another thing. You have internal things that's going on. You
Yep.
know, asthma. Asthma can hit you at any time in life. There is no certain period or a certain age. My son never had asthma until I had given him some Benadryl, I think it was, thinking I was giving him something that was going to help him, but it hurt him, and I had to rush him to the emergency room because he developed asthma and he couldn't breathe. But, once that episode was over with, he's never encountered asthma again. So it depends on what's triggering all these things off. We just have to become aware. But parents, individuals, I would always say start keeping a journal on what it is that you're doing, when it's happening, how often it's happening, and what you were doing when it started happening. Because that's going to help you and it could help the medical professionals.
It makes a lot of sense, and just in those same lines and everything. 'Cause I don't think I'm speaking out of school because it's known by the by the family and everything. But sometimes something that is impacting you one way may cause a life altering moment later on. Because I want to say that my brother's longtime girlfriend has heart murmurs and heart ailment as a kid and everything. But as recently as about a year and a half ago, she had a replacement heart. So she actually had a heart transplant because she was one of those fortunate people who was able to get a transplant and have a successful transplant. And Celia is doing quite well and all in that spaces and seems to be doing really well with her new heart. But the body had gotten to the point that she's not at the new heart. Who knows if she would even be with us, but she is still with us and doing quite well in her career and everything else. But sometimes you might have something that you live with for a long time, and then you have to have something radical like a heart transplant or some other kind of transplant as
Exactly,
well.
exactly, exactly. And I'm not out of totally danger either. I still have to be very aware of what I am again ingesting. So for that reason, I have to cook everything that I'm going to be eating. It's
Right,
hard for me to eat anything out of a package.
right.
If I'm going to do fresh vegetables, I still have to pay attention to what's been sprayed on those vegetables or on that fruit. I have to wash it and make sure that I get all the wax and everything off of it because you just never know. I never know how my body is going to react to it.
That
And
makes a lot.
right, and other times, parents, let's face it, or individuals, let's face it. Many times, if I have an apple, guess what? I have to peel it.
Wow.
And
Yes.
I eat the peels because I don't know what preserve. I don't know what sprays that they used on it, or insecticides, or pesticides,
Mm-hmm.
because my body will react to it. So yes, it's a lot of work, but if I want to live, and I'm going to live, so
Right.
this therefore I must do what I need to do in order to keep myself. So that's why I talk about in order to move forward and move forward in a healthy manner.
And there are even some foods that are very common that I know people have allergies and reactions to because I know some people are big fans of potato salad and other things, but some of those are egg based. And I know that not everybody is able to react to eggs. There are some people that have allergic reactions to eggs and all along those lines. And I know that there are some people that have allergic reaction to milk and other things like that. So there are a number of things that you may have an allergic reaction to that may be very common dishes as well and everything, but they are things that cause an allergic reaction.
And the most important thing, again, Mark, is for you to be able to look at or to document what it was that you ate. Even with with potato salad, you have the potatoes that you're going to put in it, you have the eggs, you have the mayo, depending on if you're going to do pickles or relishes or whatever you're going to use. But you have to look at what's in each of the ingredients that you're using.
Right.
I when I was going through all of this, I remember that one Thanksgiving I did an organic Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't tell my family that it was all organic. I
Mm-hmm.
had an organic turkey. I did the organic dressing with organic cornmeal. I did the whole works. Everything was organic. Organic eggs, organic milk, organic cheese, butter. I did the whole works. And a lot of time people think eating organic is expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
actually what's expensive is having to go to the doctor and spend the money on medications, spend the money on surgeries and your copays. That's expensive because when you become ill and that illness is long term, and then if you think about it, that I have not encountered anything since 2016 up to 2024.
Well,
So that's an 8-year difference right there because I watched everything I was eating.
yeah.
I encountered what I encountered in March because I took a chance. I took a chance because I wanted to try those nachos that I had cooked. But I
Yes.
can't take a chance. I cannot gamble my life. When my body says no, I do not want that. I cannot chance having it.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
makes a lot of sense.
about it. When you know that you're allergic to something, don't chance it.
Yeah.
I'm a living witness. Do not chance it.
Don't chance it if you know you're allergic to something. I know you're getting ready to wind down and everything, but I don't know if you want to get into this boot camp that you've got coming up as well as we get ready to wind down, because I know you've got this resume boot camp and you might be having conversations about that on some upcoming shows. But I just wanted to run that and hey, see if you had any thoughts about that event that you've got coming up as well. But definitely, I see Antonio is still talking as well, because he said the one thing that I would like to share with everybody is live like it's your last day and enjoy it to the fullest, and that God has a plan for all of us, and accept it and claim it. So that's what Antonio was saying.
That's right. That's right. Live it to the fullest. And many times, the way we can live it to the fullest is if we're out there and we are in the profession and we are having a career, and you're professional and you want to transition to a new career. I do have this resume boot camp that's coming up, and there is the email to it where you can go and register for it. And the whole thing about this resume boot camp is because I just said career's a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're retiring, guess what? You still need a resume. If you're starting work for the first time, you'll need a resume. If you wanted to transition to a new career, a resume will come in hand. So take the ordinary resume and let me assist you in making it become extraordinary.
Yep.
Because I have the proof is in the pudding, as they say. I have clients who have just had a 15% increase in their salary, a 20% increase in the job offer, a $20,000 in the job offer. So it works. The system that I have put in place is a proven system and it works. So
No,
take a look at the resume boot camp.
but not just that, but it works even if you are doing less traditional jobs as well. Because as you know, not just Pod TV and here at HI where I'm at today, but I also work for measurement, and I can tell you that every time we work, which is a seasonal job because it's a testing company, you have to give them a vita or some form of resume just to let them know your background, and sometimes that can lead to newer jobs and newer responsibilities, because I have gone from being a regular reader to a team leader on some projects as well. Have not made it up to scoring director or some of the other executive positions, but that might be in the future. So we do know that this day and time, a lot of people are going to remote work. But even if you're doing remote or gig work, the resume can still help you in that space as well. So I just wanted your thoughts around that, because I do know that a lot of the gig jobs also want to see some background of what you've done, whether that is a more traditional resume or a vita, but they definitely want to get an idea of your history and all along those lines.
And you want to make sure that they understand the value that you're adding to that organization.
Right.
And so a resume is what's going to, we help you to brand yourself on your resume. We help you to understand and help them to understand your achievements that you brought from other companies and what you can add to their company. A resume, yes, a resume can help you even get into college. It can
Right.
help you get to your first career. It can help as an entrepreneur. You still need a resume because it tells a story on the clients in which you've helped. If a military person is coming out of the military, coming into civilian life, we help you to translate that military experience into civilian experience. So we work with all type of individuals in order to help them to get that resume from ordinary to extraordinary, so they can be seen and understood the value that they add to an organization, because we want you to be the top candidate for the position.
Yep, no doubt about that. And you've done another great job. I'm glad to see you back live, and we'll be hopefully having a series of conversations. I know you said you were working on some guests and everything else, but I had to pop in and help you with some of the questions and everything. But I definitely
Thank you.
enjoyed it, and you're always doing another amazing job. And I guess we'll get ready to go out with your usual outro and everything else, that once you get whatever concluding thoughts you want to give as well. But definitely another amazing show, and was glad to see you back doing it live. And you do have Darlene, who was watching as well, and she thanked you for so much and all along those lines. So she said this was good, and she was glad to have me enjoying it in this conversation.
And Darlene and I, we're going to be tag teaming some because she's into the health side as well. And it's nothing like collaborating together and bringing this information forth to everyone. So, listen, I'm glad to be back. I thank you for your prayers, your love, and everything. But I want to say, I believe in you and I trust you believe in yourself. Until next time.